Hello everybody, Reggie Tam here, and today we are doing, as promised, a review video from my play on the Flying Fish Club. I played some good volume yesterday, which is what we talked about in yesterday's video, and it has a section on there where you can favourite hands, if you will, to review them on the web. So that's what I've done here. Some hands are interesting spots. Some hands are just used to show just how fucking ridiculous some of the players are on the club. Some are interesting, some not so interesting. But if you like this format, please hit the thumbs up. If you don't like the format, don't hit the thumbs down, please, because it hurts the video. But do leave a comment, did not like or something like that, or something constructive, some constructive criticism below, because I want to produce stuff that you guys like. And I'm not sure if this is going to be better than the live play video or not, but the only way to find these things out is to do them. So we're not going to be super in depth on any of these hands. It's probably not going to be a 45-minute video. It'll be what it'll be, and yeah, it's more just a look at this. Is it any good? Or should we go back to live sweats, basically, and live sweats and chats and things? So here's the first hand. We have the ace, queen of spades. In the small blind, this is one from dinner time. It's a very, very uninteresting hand as such. It does go to show that some guy here just piling 25 blinds in pre with king 7 off, blind versus blind, which is a good advert for the site, in terms of how soft games are and how shit some of the players are. So I mean, that's not very interesting, but we've looked at it anyway. Any hands that I did think were interesting, we will do a lot more, but we're not, the things that are just showing shit players, then we're not going to do too much talking about it. Here we have 2 10s. Hopefully I remember the hands as we go along. We open, we get called by a short stack fish on the button. Ah, yes, I do remember this one actually. Now we get squeezed by a player who I had tagged pink, which is loose aggressive but bad. He had I think 9 or 10% 3-bet. And I wasn't sure here whether we should just 4-bet get it in versus him, or call, wait to see a reasonable flop. Because he had a really high c-bet too. He had 70-something% c-bet. So I want you to just pile it in now or call, and then just jam over his almost certain c-bet on the flop, on a low card board. I wasn't sure which was going to be best. I decided to call, let the button call too, and then if we got a good flop and he c-bet like he normally does with the very high frequency, then jam on good boards. That was a plan I eventually went with. Not sure it's a good plan, but it was the plan that I came up with. And then he did this, and I wasn't sure. At the time, it felt like he was just trying to make me fold. I think if he had aces or kings or something, he would probably bet smaller. But at the same time, did I want to pile 75 big blinds more in with an underpair? And that was the dilemma is in. I think he's probably not super strong here when he goes with the 150% pot jam. It looked like he wanted to fold, but we only have 2 10s in a 3-bet pot, and I didn't know what to do, to be frank. Calling felt a little bit spewy, but it also felt like I was ignoring my read. So I was definitely conflicted on this one. I elected, because he's all in, to just say, well, fuck it, we'll fold this time, let's just see what he's doing with, try and get the read. So I did fold, and he turns up with just the ace-king, unfortunately. So we didn't manage to drag a big pot down there. That was a little bit disappointing, but it is what it is. We got the read at least, and we got the note. Here we have pocket fives in the small blind. We have a player who I don't remember opening under the gun. This Hawk 03 was a pretty big whale in the middle position. I elected to set mine, and we duly hit our set. Shooter, I remember he had another one with a exploitably high c-bet, so I was going to check here to get a raise in. Then the whale pops another raise in, and now the only question here is, do we call and allow shooter to continue with things that we've got crushed? If we go for the 3-bet here, does shooter just get away from aces, kings, queens, jacks, 10s, that kind of thing? And do we call and just like let him continue like value betting his overpairs on the turn, or do we just get it in now because Hawk's got a lot of money and he's probably drawing dead? Those were my two options, and I can't remember what I did actually. I suspect I probably re-raised just to try and isolate Hawk. And I just went with the jam, okay? And then we get called everywhere, and we're up against in a really, really good spot, up against top pair and an overpair. So we've got these guys drawing almost dead in a pretty big pot, in a 125 Aussie dollar pot. So it's like a 300 blind pot here, and we got two guys in drawing almost dead between them, which is beautiful. Only sadly, the Hawk backed into his flush, and I think we made a tiny bit of money in the hand because I think we or maybe lost a little bit. I can't remember which way it was. Maybe we lost a little bit. We won the side pot versus shooter for $35. Lost the main pot. Yeah, so we definitely lost money because we won the side pot but lost to him. So yeah, that's unfortunate. But I mean, just look at these games. I mean, the guys. I mean, fine. Fish are going to call open to jack 8 suited all day, so that's not an issue. But then he like raises, and then calls it off versus two all-ins when he just can't ever be good on that board texture. So, good game, nice hand, bad result, I'm afraid, but never mind. We live to fight other days. Don't remember this hand off the top. Oh yes, I do. Sorry. The big blind is a whale in this pot. Sorry, the guy who's straddles. Sorry, is a whale. So we raise his straddle, and he kind of just clicks it back to us. So we take a flop. A little bit nervous when he like clicks it back, but Ace Deuce is going to be too strong in position against a whale. This guy like an 80V pip or something like that. We flop bottom pair, backdoor flush draw, so we can't go anywhere just yet, and we call his bet. We turn, we pick up a flush draw, but there's not that much money behind now. It's like we've got the effective stack at $28, and I think I made a mistake in this hand now, because he basically puts us all in, barring $5, and I must have misread my stack size. I think I must have misread I must have thought I had him covered, and I thought, oh, there's 12 behind to play for. We've got a pair and a flush draw against a whale. I'm not willing to fold it. My plan was probably call turn and maybe fold river. That's a shit plan. Even if I thought we had like 12 extra left, I think we should just fucking jam or fold here. And it's not a spot I'm going to want to fold against a whale, because even if he does have like pocket kings or something, we're going to have 12 outs again, 15 outs against pocket kings. We're going to have 12 outs against pocket aces. I think we should just fucking pile it in and be willing to gamble with these really splashy guys. But I made a mistake and just called. And then we bink the nuts on the river. He jams, we obviously call our last 486 off, and he was in rough shape, and we won that one against the Ace Jack. And just kind of two things. I think that's an interesting hand because we get in a weird spot with Ace Deuce, and even more interesting because the guy just fucking tripled it off with Ace Jack in a spot where Ace Jack can almost never be good. So that was fun. Here we're not in his hand at all, but I guess something crazy must be about to happen. Lots of limps. Another limp. A small ISO race in the big blind. A call. Then a jam. Then a fold. Then a jam. Then a fold. Okay. Alright, so it's Ace-9 off versus Queen Jack, all in for a 75 big blind pot. Again, this is just really to highlight. I guess I put this hand in just to show just how fucking amazing these games can be. You got two guys here, neither of which want to, both with hands that really don't want to be playing all in pre-flops, and they contrived between them to get all in pre-flop. This hand was very interesting. So we've got this guy under the gun here, who's he was pink tagged, which is as we talked about earlier, my label for like bad aggressive fish. I 3-bet here, and then I think the two people in the blinds came along, and before he did what he did, he said, I swear if you 3-bet me one more time, which I presume was him like threatening that he was just not going to tolerate it much longer. I don't even think I'd 3-bet him that many times, if any yet. So I'm not sure who he's getting at, but he elects to just call. Then we flop the open ender in a multi-way pot, which is already quite big. Fish goes all in. He just calls. So my thing here, I use quite a lot of my timer here. There's not much of a timer on this club, but I use a lot of it. Because at first I like popped a raise in. I wanted to raise it up to like $18 and just fuck it and commit with that open ender. But then in a multi-way pot, I was like, well, do we have a ton of fold equity? We're getting really good pot odds right now. We're getting like 5.5 to 1 to call. And maybe if we do spike an ace, then the aggressive fish has an ace. Maybe he has 2 pairs and we get to felt him anyway. And so I kind of thought, well, do we have fold equity? If we make our hand, do we still get paid off anyway? And I decided to take like the safer option, if you will, and just call and hope that Sir Poker didn't put a check raise in. And he just called, and the turn's a jack, which isn't really that much use to us. And then this guy, after about 10 seconds maybe, just like piled all his money in, and all of a sudden I stopped liking this spot. Our hands technically improved from the flop to the turn, given we picked up a pair to go without open ender, but I think our situations got worse because I thought I was drawing on the flop. I'm now almost certain that I'm drawing, and do I really want to be drawing here? Could be drawing dead against ace king. We're dead against sets, we're not doing great. Against 2 pairs, we're not doing great. So I elected to tap out of this one and fold. Spoiler alert. Sir Poker folds 2, and then we look at what we got it in against, and it was very disappointing because we had this guy pretty much in jail. His ace is dead. Because it gives us the nuts, and yeah, so clearly this guy was a little bit steamed up or what have you, because I mean clearly like this is a pretty terrible turn jam, but it fucking worked because he got me to fold a better hand, so go him I guess. And we would have river trips at least once, and obviously you don't run it more than once when there's multi-way, so we would have scooped the pot, but never mind. King 10 here, we have this guy was super loose passive, can't remember his V-pick, but it was huge, with a massive gap. Imagine something like 80/11 or something like that. So we go with the ISO with the King 10 on the button. We get a call. We get a pretty damn good flop. SPR of 4 against a whale with top pair. Let's go. I went with the 3/4 pot bet around there. He snap jams. I wasn't in love with it, but I mean, it's against a massive whale. Of course, you're going to call. We did call and we held, and he like limp called 10-3 suited under the gun, and then dumped like 40 odd blinds on us. So again, just another good indication of how fucking amazingly soft these games are. Here we isolate an under the gun limper with the pocket jacks. Under the gun limper then jams. I think my dilemma is that do we call and let this guy come and then jam most flops, or do we just jam now? I went with the jam, I didn't care what the button did. Really? With jacks, with aces, I think we definitely just flat. With jacks, maybe with jam is better. We got it all in against ace 10 and king 7 in another almost 100 big blind pot, and did not get there. We've been running a bit salty, but we can't complain because we're in fantastic games, and run band. Fantastic games, hopefully here forever. Run bad never is, so that's my lookout. That's my outlook on it. Here we've opened the Jack 9 suited under the gun. We flop pair in a straight draw, which is another, I think, relatively interesting spot because we're multi-way here against 2 players. The question is, do we bet? Do we just check call? Do we like check jam against this dude, or like do we check, let him bet, see what he does, then just jam against him? And I elected to go with the bet in the end, and I think that's bad now. I think in hindsight now, I think it's much better to check here. Let him bet, hopefully. If he gets out of the way, then we have a trivial jam. If it checks through, then fine. We probably got the best hand and we can just value bet the turn. But I think I went with the bet and I don't like it. I think checking is much better. He goes all in. We have the easy call. Again, we're ahead, but not by much. It's got 2 overs and double gut shot. And we get run out on again and another almost 100 big blind pot. So as you can see, it's not been the best of days for me in terms of, or best 24 hours in terms of how I've been running. But I have been running. I did run really well on a different club last night. So even though this video we were going to end up losing money, I think overall in the 24 hours I think I made about $70. So I'm certainly not going to complain. We raised the 8s up here. We flopped upset in a multi-way pot on a board where we don't expect to get a lot of folds. So I think it's a really good time to just bet big. Of course, we blocking top pairs not good, but there's so many draws out there. There's no reason to worry about blocking top pairs. So many hands we can get value from. Turn comes to 4. We've got like 120% pot, 125% pot, something like that. So I just decided to stick him in. He snaps me off. He has to do pair, and we have the very easy double up there. Here we have the ace jack. We raise to 3x. And another whale in the small blind calls us. Can't remember exactly what his stats were, but he was whalish. I flop 2 pairs. I think we can make a case for betting a little bit smaller here, given that we've got the board crushed and we do block an awful lot of the hands that we can get called by. I'm not sure what size I used, but I think I'd like to see myself go around 220, I think. Or do I go with 288? A little bit too big maybe, but not when you get the check min raise or the check raise. We were happy, check min raise, yeah, we're happy with that. Just to let him keep doing his thing now. He bombs again. We just called again, I hope, yep. And then I was expecting the bomb to come on the river and he didn't. So I know we got the best hand now. That's without any question whatsoever. Because King 10, pocket queens, pocket jacks, ace queen, all just jammed this river. So it's just a matter of, is he going to call when we jam? Or is he just going to give up on whatever silly bluff he had? So we put him in. He snap calls us with just ace-9 off. So another example of how easy it is to get money in really good in this club. We've shown lots of good examples of how soft this club is. Sadly, we've not ran that well, but in this video, but who gives a shit about that? This is an interesting situation because this guy was just clearly just a fish with no money hardly. I'm more than willing to go with it with him, but then this happens, and then I was like, fucking hell, now what? You know, because that is a 50 big blind 3 bet or 50 odd big blind 3 bet. 55 and a bit, 56 almost. So obviously we have 0 fold equity with our jacks. So do we just pile the jacks in? I think if this dude had more dead money, if this guy had put say 12 in, then we go with it and just maybe flip over the $12. So that we're getting a flip, but we're getting like better odds, because if we do get it all in 3 ways, we're hopefully going to have around 45 to 50% equity with $12 dead money in there. But he didn't. He only had $8. And in the end, I decided to pass the jacks up. Felt a bit dirty, to be honest. But we did fold, and there was a dead money. The dead money was definitely there with the Queen 4, but the guy 3-betting had the real hand. And we would have been in a flip, which we would have won, because obviously we only won it once again, so we would have won the flip. And it would have been another nice pot we would have won, but we didn't, so there you go. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. We entered the dick, she'd be my uncle, wouldn't she? Here we open the King Queen. Get called by... this guy was like super loose patty, like something like 42/1 or something like that. He was just like everything was a call for him. We flopped up pair. Lowish C-bet on the dry board. That seems reasonable to me. 320s, too big, never mind. We get a call anyway. Brick turn. 2 calls. I think we definitely need to go smaller here now, because we want 2 players to get callers with worse hands. We can't go too big. 4-6 has got there. people shouldn't have 4-6, but sometimes they do. Obviously, we're still worked by pocket fives, pocket threes. Maybe there's a 5-7 suited out there and a 5-3 suited now and again, but we should still rate to have the best hand most of the time. It's just like we probably need to bet small, in my opinion, to allow worse hands to call. So I do go pretty small. I get called again in 2 spots. So now I'm not liking my hand very much anymore. I'm called in 2 spots. The 8 comes, which maybe completes, you know, a couple more 2 pairs, like Queen 8, maybe something like that. If the fish, I don't know, but I didn't like the board anymore. Certainly thought it was going to be too thin to bet for value again. Multi-way, so I was just in check, hope to win at showdown mode, and it does check through. And I was delighted at this point because we just win when it just checks through. So that's lovely. Only we didn't win because the 1% VP, 1% PFR guy doesn't 3-bet aces, seemingly. So there we go. Here we have ace queen offsuit, and this guy in the big blind is a whale. Not sure about him. This is one of the players who I've known for a very long time from my Sky days. Very good player. He raises under the gun. I don't really want to 3-bet him with ace queen when there's like fish behind. We had this 40-odd one guy here. So I just think if we 3-bet his under the gun range, most of the time people fall behind us and he 4-bets me a decent frequency. We like lose the value of ace queen pre-flop versus his range, and we also don't get the opportunity to play a big pot on ace-high boards against some whales who'll have some worse hands. So I just flattered to let other people behind come in and not isolate myself against the top of this Larry David's range. Checks to us, so with the fish in the blinds, Larry doesn't have a king, Larry doesn't have pocket aces, maybe he has jacks, tens, things like that, eights. I think we can get him to fold a lot of the time here by betting, and then if this dude's in here with like a 9 or a 4, then we've got good equity against that. If he's got a king, then we've got some backdoor equity, etc. So we took a shot, we bet 3/4 pot, and we got called. We turned the ace, which is fucking delightful. So I hope I upsize here. Nope, I think I should go bigger there. I think I need to go 8. But he calls anyways. Turns a 7. He checks again. See, if I'd bet more on the turn, we'd be left ourselves now with almost a pot size bet. If I'd have bet $2 more on the turn, I'd have 27. There'd be 26 in the pot, so we're going to have to overbet shove the river and potentially reduce the amount of combinations that can call us. But I went for the jam anyway, just to get called by king queen, stuff like that. Then maybe we'll call, or maybe he's floated with a hand like ace jack, ace 10. But as it is, our call pre-flop to allow worse hands to come in worked a treat because he came in with ace 4. Sadly, his ace 4 made 2 pairs, which was disappointing. But again, never mind. When you go for the slow plays, these are the chances that you take. And this might be the last time of the video, I'm not sure. We complete 9-7 diamonds in the small blind. We flop a gut shot and a backdoor flush draw. I think this dude's about to bet a half pot, maybe not. This dude bets just over half pot. We have a trivial call in my opinion. Try and make our hand. We turn a flush draw. This dude bets small again. This is like a real fish. And at this point I'm thinking if he's got a king, then probably bets bigger. So maybe we can get him to fold like a 5 or an 8 here that's just kind of like blocking or just randomly betting to find out where it's at. So we've now got like a gut shot and a backdoor flush draw that's turned into like a... the backdoor flush draw has now turned into an actual flush draw. So I decided to go with a check raise here. I think my sizing's fine. Maybe... I don't know if it could have gone a bit bigger or not, but the sizing looks fine to me. Our opponent calls very quickly. So at this point, he's either got a club draw or a king, in my opinion. And I think given his bet twice, I mean, we could try and barrel to get him off a draw. I mean, the problem is we block we block diamonds. We block all the draws he can have. We block diamonds. We block 6-7. We block 9-7 because we've got the 9-7 too. So I was more inclined to think he's probably just a made hand he's not folding rather than something I could make him fold, so I elected to just give up. So we did, we checked. He checks back, and sadly for us, he shows the Queen Deuce of Spades. So maybe he folds that on the river if we push it. Maybe he doesn't. Who knows? So yeah, they're all the hands. I've got one more interesting hand to talk about from a U-Poker game I played in last night. We were 246 blinds deep versus a regular. We're in the big blind with two aces. He makes it 3x from the cutoff. I make it 13.5x from the big blind and make it our 3-bet bigger because we're that much deeper. He then made it 52 big blinds. He 4-bet to 52 big blinds, leaving like 190 something blinds behind. And it's a spot I've rarely remember being in where we're facing a 4-bet out of position with the aces, but insanely deep. And I was like, fuck me, what size do I make it here? I mean, do we just jam? But it felt like I wanted more action than that on my aces. But if he's 4-betting, is he ever folding? As deep as we were, maybe I thought possibly he could 4-bet fold ace king here, 4-bet fold 2 kings, 4-bet fold 2 queens, which obviously is a big disaster for us when we have aces. So in the end I elected to, well, before I say what I'd made it, have a think to yourself. Facing a 3x open, we 3-bet to 13.5, he 4-bets to 552. We started the hand 246 blinds effective. What would your 4-bet size be? So just pause the video for a minute, think in that situation. What would your 4-bet size be facing a 50 big blind 4-bet with about 196 big blinds behind still? So have you got your answer? I decided to 4-bet to 112. He snap jammed, we called, he had ace king, we had aces, we won. So that it's a pretty standard kind of hand in terms of that both players' hand strengths. I mean, I'm not sure I'd get 246 big blinds in pre with ace king, but this dude did. But I think it's a really interesting spot in terms of like, what the fuck 5? How used are any of us to making 5-bets that aren't all in? Because normally 100 blinds deep, the 5-bet's just the all in, isn't it? He's got, so I thought it was interesting. I enjoyed it. We cooled the shit out of somebody in a huge pot, and it was a good winning session. In terms of like what I talked about yesterday with wanting to grind a bit harder. Yesterday was a big success in that score. I played 3 sessions, the third of which was a good long session, 5 tabling. We had 3 of these Aussie PPP clubs tables running, and we had 2 U-Poker tables running. So I had 5 tables late at night for about 3 hours, plus my volume earlier in the day. I had a couple of sessions that were like an hour or so long each. So I got a good 5 hours in yesterday. Today so far we've only managed to play 1 session because it's just mid-afternoon. I played my lunchtime session, then I've had things to do. I've had people's rate back to pay, been processes like withdrawals, taking withdrawal requests from people, etc. So it's Wednesday's usually my busiest day, so if I don't play as much today, it's not the end of the world. I'm going to go and play a session shortly. Now whether I play an evening session or not, I'm not sure. It will depend if I get a nap in between now and if I play my session now, maybe I get a nap in sometime around tea time, which will give me enough like energy to play this evening. But if I don't, I don't. Wednesday's a busy day anyway. But I think my grind schedule going forward for the time being is going to be lunchtime session on Flying Fish on the Aussie site, afternoon session on the Aussie site, then evening session is going to be a big session with 3 tables from the Aussie site and 2 or 3 tables from U-Poker 2. So that my daytime sessions are going to be kind of just 3 tabling. Because my wife's around, I've got my headphones on with music, so it reduces my concentration a little bit. And then my late night sessions, when the wife goes to bed, there's going to be no music, just me and the tables, 5-6 tables, and get some grinding. And I really enjoyed the grind last night, even though in one club I had no success, one club had a lot of success. It was a nice grind, a nice good pace, 5 tabling, didn't get bored, didn't play too loose because I got bored. I felt like I played well. And yeah, so fingers crossed, I have a loose grind schedule in mind. Now it's just up to me to stick to it. Hopefully I can. And we'll be back tomorrow with who knows what kind of video. I guess it'll depend what feedback this gets. I'll try and keep saving hands, interesting hands, so we can do a review video again if people prefer them. If not, we'll just do a morning or afternoon live record session from the Aussie group. But we'll leave it there. Take care, everybody. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you liked it, or comment if you didn't like it. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Stay safe out there, everybody. Be kind, be well, look after yourself, and much love from me. Bye bye for now.